You're sitting across from someone at a cafe. The conversation started well enough. You smiled, nodded, asked the right questions. But somewhere around the 15-minute mark, something shifts. A quiet heaviness settles in your chest. Your answers become shorter. Your mind starts drifting toward the door, toward home, toward silence. You're still physically present, still making eye contact, but inside, you're already gone. You feel it draining out of you. Something you can't name, something invisible, something that was full when you arrived and is now running dangerously low. You didn't do anything wrong. Neither did they. But by the time you get home, you feel like you've run a marathon. You close the door behind you, and the relief is so intense it almost makes you want to cry. You sit in the quiet. You don't turn on music. You don't call anyone. You just breathe, and slowly, very slowly, that invisible thing begins to refill. Most people don't talk about this. They don't have a name for it, but you do. You've always known it was there. You've just spent most of your life thinking there was something wrong with you for feeling it so acutely. This is your social battery, and it doesn't work the way most people think it does. This is not weakness. This is not you being antisocial or broken or incapable of connection. This is the psychology of how you're wired, and there's a reason why people drain you faster than you expect. Carl Jung would say that this isn't a flaw in your design. It's a difference in how your energy moves through the world. And once you understand it, everything starts to make sense. For most people, social interaction is energizing. They leave a party feeling recharged. They crave conversation. They feel alive in crowds. For you, it's the opposite. Every conversation, every smile, every moment of performing normal social behavior costs you something. It's not that you hate people. It's not that you can't enjoy their company. It's that being around them requires something from you that most people don't even realize they're asking for. You've probably tried to explain this before. You've said things like, "I just need to recharge," or "I'm not really a people person." And the response is usually some version of, "You just need to get out more. You'll feel better once you're there." But that's not how it works for you. And the frustration of not being understood only makes the exhaustion worse. Because here's what most people don't realize. Your social battery doesn't just drain from being around people. It drains from the effort of translating yourself into a version they can understand. Jung spent much of his life studying the difference between introverts and extroverts, not as labels, but as fundamental orientations of psychic energy. For extroverts, energy flows outward. They gain vitality from external stimulation. People, events, noise, movement. For introverts, energy flows inward. They need internal space to process, reflect, and restore. Jung would say that for you, every social interaction is a small act of extroversion. An extroversion, for an introvert, is expensive. It's not just about being shy or preferring books to parties. It's about where your life force naturally wants to go. When you're alone, your energy circulates freely. Your thoughts can unfold without interruption. Your nervous system can rest. When you're with people, even people you love, you have to redirect that energy outward. You have to manage their emotions, read their cues, adjust your tone, your face, your body language. You have to become a translator between your inner world and the external one. And that translation work is exhausting. Think of it this way. Extroverts are like solar panels. They absorb energy from the external world and convert it into fuel. You're more like a rechargeable battery. You start the day with a certain amount of charge, and every interaction draws from that reserve. Some interactions take a little, some take a lot, but none of them add energy back. Only solitude does that. Anna tried. She really did. She said yes to invitations. She showed up, she smiled, she participated. But by the time she got home, she felt like she'd been holding her breath underwater for hours. She'd lie on her bed, staring at the ceiling, too drained to even watch TV, too tired to eat, too empty to do anything but wait for the heaviness to pass. Her friends didn't understand. They'd text her, "You seemed fine. Why did you leave so early?" and she didn't know how to explain that seeming fine was exactly what had drained her. The performance of being fine, the effort of matching their energy, the constant internal monitoring. Am I talking too much? Too little? Do I look engaged? Am I being weird? She wasn't masking a disorder. She wasn't faking her personality. She was simply spending energy faster than she could replenish it, and no one around her could see it happening. One day, she tried an experiment. She declined an invitation to a birthday party and spent the evening alone instead. She made tea. She read. She sat by the window and watched the light change. And for the first time in weeks, she didn't feel that crushing heaviness. She felt clear, present, like herself. The next morning, her friend called, concerned. "Are you okay? You never miss things like this." Anna paused. She wanted to say, "I'm better than I've been in months." But she knew that wouldn't make sense to someone whose battery worked differently. So she just said, "I needed a quiet night." And her friend, meaning well, said, "You can't hide from the world forever." But Anna wasn't hiding. She was recovering. Here's the part almost no one explains. Your social battery doesn't drain at a steady rate. It drains faster depending on the type of interaction, the emotional demand, and how much of yourself you have to suppress to fit in. Small talk drains you faster than deep conversation. Crowds drain you faster than one-on-one time. Performing enthusiasm drains you faster than being allowed to just exist quietly. You can spend 2 hours with one person and feel fine. You can spend 20 minutes in a group and feel like you need 3 days to recover. It's not about the quantity of time. It's about the quality of presence required. Let's break this down further, because understanding the variables matters. Surface-level interactions are the most expensive. When someone asks, "How's it going?" and you know they don't actually want a real answer, you have to perform a micro-lie. You have to smile and say, "Good, you," even if you're not good, even if the question itself feels hollow. That micro-lie costs energy, and when you do it 10, 20, 30 times in a day, the cost adds up. Emotionally intense interactions drain you differently. If someone is venting to you, sharing pain, asking for advice, you absorb some of that weight. You're empathetic. You feel what they feel. And even if you want to help, even if you care deeply, your system takes on their emotional charge. By the time the conversation ends, you're carrying their feelings and your own. Group dynamics are their own category of exhaustion. In a group, you're not just managing one person's energy. You're managing 5, 8, 12. You're tracking who's talking, who's being left out, what the vibe is, whether you're contributing enough, whether you're contributing too much. You're reading the room constantly, adjusting in real time, and that requires a level of mental and emotional bandwidth that depletes you fast. Schopenhauer believed that most social life was a form of mutual suffering. People gather not because they truly want to be together, but because they fear being alone. And in that gathering, he said, they perform a kind of theatre, each person pretending to be more interested, more cheerful, more engaged than they actually are. For someone like you, that theatre is unbearable, not because you're judgmental, but because you can feel the falseness of it. You can sense when someone is asking, "How are you?" without actually wanting to know. You can feel when a conversation is just noise, just filler, just a way to avoid silence. And participating in that, even passively, costs you. Schopenhauer also wrote about what he called the porcupine dilemma. Porcupines, he said, huddle together for warmth in winter, but their quills prick each other, so they move apart. But then they get cold again, so they move closer, and the cycle repeats. Human relationships, he believed, work the same way. We need each other, but we also hurt each other. We crave connection, but connection costs us. For you, the quills feel sharper, the cold feels more tolerable, and that's not wrong. That's just how your system is calibrated. There's another layer to this, one that's harder to admit. Your social battery drains faster when you don't feel safe. When you're around people who judge you, misunderstand you, or expect you to be someone you're not, the drain is immediate. Your nervous system goes into a low-level state of vigilance. You're scanning for danger, for rejection, for the moment when you'll say the wrong thing and they'll see you as strange. This isn't paranoia, this is learned protection. Maybe you grew up feeling different. Maybe you were the kid who preferred reading to recess. Maybe you were told you were too quiet, too serious, too sensitive. Maybe you learned early that the world doesn't have much patience for people who need more silence than noise. And so, you learned to perform. To smile when you didn't feel like it. To laugh at jokes that weren't funny. To stay longer than you wanted to, just to prove you were trying. But every time you did that, you taught your nervous system that being yourself wasn't safe. And now, even in harmless situations, your body remembers. It braces. It spends energy preparing for a threat that may never come. That's why you can feel drained, even when nothing bad happened. Because the vigilance itself is exhausting. There's a psychological concept called hypervigilance, a state where your nervous system is constantly scanning for threats, even in safe environments. It's common in people who've experienced rejection, bullying, or emotional neglect, and it doesn't just affect your mental state. It affects your physical energy. When your body is in vigilance mode, it's burning fuel. Your heart rate stays slightly elevated. Your muscles stay slightly tense. Your mind stays slightly on guard. You're not relaxed, even when you look relaxed. And that constant low-level activation drains your battery faster than anything else. Jung would call this the shadow at work, the part of you that holds all the pain, fear, and shame you've tried to hide. When you're around people, your shadow gets activated. You become hyper-aware of the parts of yourself you think are unacceptable, and the energy it takes to keep those parts hidden, to keep your shadow in check, is immense. Solitude, then, isn't just rest. It's the only place where you can let your shadow breathe. It's the only place where you don't have to hide anything, manage anything, or protect anything. You can just be, fully, without translation. Jung also spoke about the persona, the social mask we wear to navigate the world. For extroverts, the persona is light. It fits naturally. They can wear it for hours without feeling burdened. For introverts, especially sensitive ones, the persona is heavy. It requires constant adjustment. It never quite fits. And the longer you wear it, the more you feel like you're disappearing underneath it. You start to lose track of what you actually think, what you actually feel, because you've been so focused on managing how you appear. By the time you get home, you don't just need rest. You need to remember who you are. That's why solitude isn't just a preference for you. It's a necessity. It's the only place where you can take the mask off and let your face remember its real shape. Jung believed that the persona was necessary for survival in society, but he also warned that if we wear it too long, we risk losing contact with our true self. For you, that risk is higher. Because your persona doesn't just help you fit in, it helps you survive. It protects you from judgment, rejection, misunderstanding. But it also costs you your energy, your clarity, your sense of who you actually are. And the only antidote is time alone. Time where the persona can rest. Time where you can return to yourself. Here's what most people misunderstand. You're not antisocial. You're selectively social. You don't hate connection. You hate shallow connection. You don't avoid people because you don't care. You avoid people because you care too much, and most interactions don't honor that depth. You'd rather have one conversation that matters than 10 that don't. You'd rather sit in silence with someone who understands you than fill the air with words that mean nothing. And when you do find that kind of connection, the kind that doesn't drain you, the kind that actually refills you, you protect it fiercely, because you know how rare it is. There's a specific kind of interaction that doesn't drain you. It's the one where you don't have to perform, where you can say what you actually think, feel what you actually feel, and the other person doesn't flinch. Where silence isn't awkward, it's shared. Where you're not being evaluated, analyzed, or compared. Where the other person's energy is calm, not demanding. Where they're not asking you to be more than you are. That kind of connection is possible, but it's rare, and most of the time, You'd rather be alone than settle for anything less. There's a quiet detail that changes the whole picture. Not all alone time refills your battery equally. Scrolling on your phone for 3 hours isn't the same as sitting in silence with a book. Binge-watching a series to numb out isn't the same as taking a slow walk with no destination. Your battery doesn't just need absence of people, it needs presence of self. It needs you to come back to your own rhythm, your own thoughts, your own breath. Thoreau understood this. He went to the woods not to escape people, but to escape the noise of a world that never stopped demanding his attention. He wrote, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life." For you, solitude is that same act of deliberateness. It's not avoidance, it's reclamation. It's the space where you stop translating yourself and start inhabiting yourself again. Thoreau also said, "I never found the companion that was so companionable as solitude." He wasn't being dramatic. He was describing a real experience, the experience of feeling more alive, more clear, more yourself when you're alone than when you're with most people. That's not loneliness. That's clarity. And if you felt it, you know exactly what he meant. The challenge is learning to distinguish between solitude that restores you and isolation that depletes you. Restorative solitude has a quality of presence. You're with yourself. You're thinking, feeling, noticing. You're engaged with your inner world. Depleting isolation has a quality of absence. You're numbing out. You're avoiding. You're disconnected from yourself and from the world. One refills your battery, the other just drains it more slowly. And learning to tell the difference is one of the most important skills you can develop. So what does this mean for how you live? First, you stop pretending it doesn't exist. You stop forcing yourself to keep up with people whose energy works differently. You stop apologizing for needing more time alone than they do. You start treating your social battery like the real, physical resource it is. You plan around it. You protect it. You say no to things that will drain you without giving anything back. You say yes to the few people and experiences that actually matter. You build a life that doesn't require you to be on all the time. Second, you get better at recognizing the early signs of depletion, the shortness in your answers, the heaviness in your chest, the pull toward the door. You don't wait until you're completely empty. You leave early. You take breaks. You give yourself permission to disappear when you need to. You learn to say, "I need to go now," without guilt, without explanation, without apology, because your energy is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Third, you stop measuring yourself against extroverted standards. You stop thinking there's something wrong with you because you can't do what they do. You start seeing your sensitivity, your need for quiet, your selective nature as strengths, not weaknesses. Because here's the truth. People who drain fast also refill deep. You notice things others miss. You think in layers. You feel with intensity. You don't skim the surface of life. You live in the depths. And that kind of living requires more rest, more silence, more solitude. Not because you're fragile, because you're awake. You see the micro expressions on people's faces that reveal what they're really feeling. You hear the subtext beneath their words. You sense the emotional temperature of a room the moment you walk in. This isn't a superpower, it's sensitivity. And sensitivity is expensive. It means you're processing more information, feeling more nuance, carrying more emotional weight than most people around you. So yes, you drain faster. But you also perceive more, understand more, feel more. And in a world that's increasingly numb, increasingly distracted, increasingly shallow, that matters. There's one more thing that deserves to be said out loud. Your social battery isn't broken, it's calibrated differently. And the world that tells you it's too small, too sensitive, too quick to drain, that world is wrong. You're not failing at being human, you're succeeding at being yourself. Jung believed that the greatest task of the second half of life is individuation, becoming who you actually are, not who the world told you to be. For you, That means honoring your energy, protecting your solitude, choosing your connections carefully. It means building a life where you don't have to perform, pretend, or drain yourself dry just to belong. It means understanding that your need for quiet isn't a lack of love for people. It's a deep love for yourself. And that love is not selfish. It's sacred. It's the foundation of everything else. Because you can't give from an empty battery. You can't connect authentically when you're running on fumes. You can't be present for others when you haven't been present for yourself. So when you choose solitude, when you protect your energy, when you say no to things that drain you, you're not being antisocial. You're being wise. You're honoring the way you're built. You're respecting your limits. You're choosing quality over quantity, depth over breadth, truth over performance. And that's not something to apologize for. That's something to protect. Picture this. You come home after a long day. You close the door. You take off your shoes. You don't turn on the TV. You don't reach for your phone. You just sit. And in that stillness, you feel it. Your energy slowly returning. Your thoughts settling. Your nervous system exhaling. This isn't loneliness. This isn't isolation. This is you coming back to yourself. This is your battery, quietly refilling in the only way it knows how. And there's nothing wrong with that. There never was. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not failing at life. You're just someone who needs more silence than noise, more depth than breadth, more solitude than most people understand. And that's not a weakness. That's wisdom. The world will keep asking you to be louder, busier, more available, more social. And you'll keep feeling that pull toward home, toward quiet, toward yourself. That pull isn't something to fight. It's something to follow, because it's leading you toward the life you're actually meant to live. Not the life that looks good on social media. Not the life that makes other people comfortable. The life that lets you breathe. The life that honors your energy. The life where you don't have to apologize for who you are. That life is possible. And it starts the moment you stop seeing your social battery as a limitation and start seeing it as information. Information about what you need, about who you are, about how to build a life that doesn't drain you dry. Welcome to Alone Together, a quiet place on the internet where your way of being finally makes sense. You're not alone in feeling this way. You never were.